Welcome back, everyone. Good to be with you again. We've been a while because of the new year and some recent changes. But it's good to be back. And we continue with a talk on the platform Sutra. First of all is the, let me see. Is the translation. So, good friends, the deluded person resides with his mouth, and he does so with falsity and error. To practice in every moment of thought is called the true nature. To be enlightened to this Dharma is the Dharma of prajna. To not cultivate this is to be an ordinary person. To cultivate this in a single moment of thought is to be equivalent to the Buddha in one's own body. Now, there are several things that is quite easy to understand here. First of all is saying, talking, but not really practicing. Another part is that every moment one practice, and that will be in accordance with the so-called prajna. And if we don't cultivate, this refers to the unenlightened person. Then, if we don't cultivate, then it is an unenlightened person. But moment by moment practicing in itself, it's equivalent to the Buddha. So it is to say that the ignorant people, the one that has no wisdom, then they just talk. Talk about what? Talk about Buddha nature, talk about prajna, and talk about wisdom. But when their mind moves, then they have all kinds of discrimination mind, all kinds of discrimination thoughts. So that is why the deluded person recites with his mouth. And he does so with falsity and error. But the person with wisdom, or a person with wisdom, then every thought he is in accordance with the so-called straightforward mind. So that person doesn't have this called right and wrong, I and others. But still, whatever they do, they should do. Whatever that they're supposed to do, then they just do. And that is to say, they really carry out the so-called prajna. So for practitioners, if one could really realize deeply about this idea of no self, and it becomes internalized, then this person is supposed to have the right view, the right view. And they practice according to that right view. Then that person is really practicing the so-called wonderful Dharma of prajna. If we don't practice according to this so-called no form, no I, then you practice it just like the ordinary people who is seeking after the so-called merits, blessings. So if we could use or rely on this wisdom of no self as our target, and every thought we do not leave from the nature of this prajna. And every time our mind, our speech is in accordance with this prajna, then eventually one will be able to realize this Buddha nature, this pure Buddha nature. And one could say that that person is just like the Buddha. So this so-called true nature, or sometimes they translate it as true existence. It means that the so-called, the real nature of emptiness is the practice of no self with non-duality. And because of this, then we could see the wonderful Dharma, or the wonderful Dharma gate that will not fall into this duality of right and wrong. In Chan school, there's a phrase saying that once your mind moves, then it is not correct. So that means what? Well, in here, the sutra said, the platform sutra said, the deluded person recites with his mouth, and he does so with falsity and error. To practice in every moment of thought is called the true nature. So the real understanding of practicing this Buddha Dharma is actually to contemplate on this vexations of the body and mind, and contemplate on this and use the Dharma to practice. It is not to say we just say it, we just talk about it. So in several talks before, we also talk about this no self. But this is just through our understanding. Everything that we function in everyday life, it has to be with the self. But we need to understand that we are using this self, but we also need to know that the way we understand it, actually, the so-called self, is temporary. It's not real. So saying that to practice in every moment of thought is called the true nature. This here is just to emphasize on the practice itself. So if we are not using these verbal things, but everything we do, there are things that we should do, and we're not using words and thoughts by thoughts, that we're doing so, then it's called the true nature. It's not false nature. So when we see that, before we heard about Buddha Dharma, we didn't know that this world is unreal. We think this world is real. Everything is real. But after hearing about the Dharma, we have some idea that the world that we think is real actually is not that real. Actually, it's fake. But although knowing that this is something temporary, do we still eat? Do we still sleep? Do we still go to work? Or do you have to put on your dress? Well, it's something like this. Take a look at Sakyamuni Buddha. After he became a Buddha, in this almost more than 49 years, he continued on deliver sentient beings. So if we say that this world is unreal, and the Buddha seeing it, realizing it very clearly that is unreal. But why did he bother to deliver sentient beings? Sentient beings are unreal. Buddha is unreal. Why? Why deliver sentient beings? So when we say here, to practice in every moment of thought is called the true nature. Well, in the Dharma Sutra also says, without abiding, the mind manifests. That is to say, although seeing everything is unreal, but we still need to carry it out as real. But knowing that it's unreal, but we are not attached. We are not touched by this gain and loss, this called benefit and unbenefit, this you and I, this so-called right and wrong. We don't give rise to vexation about all of these things. But still, we need to see them as real to help sentient beings. When hungry, we need to eat. When it's cold, we need to put on more clothes. And we need to work. Because of what? Because although it's unreal, but things are there. Issues are there, matters are there. All the so-called necessary that we need to wear the clothing, to eat, to stay in a house, and to travel. And for everyone, there's so-called birth, old age, sickness, and dying. It's still there. For sentient beings, for us, it's just like that. But we should give rise to this compassionate mind to help sentient beings. So for this paragraph here, you can say that, yes, Buddha Dharma emphasize on this practice, not just through talking, not just through thinking. And talking is useless. And it could only cause more trouble or more vex. For those who did not hear about Buddha Dharma yet, they have to hear them more. Just like we have meditation now going on, you could say that on Sunday, constantly, and we practice meditation. I saw that many of you practice all together. And then you're here also to hear the Dharma. That's a good thing. Because if one never heard about Buddha Dharma, then one has to know about what is the teaching about? What is the right way? What is the right direction? And of course, to avoid going astray. So for those who are just learning, then we should hear more, read more about the teachings. And then we will consider for ourselves what is right, what is the right way, what is the right method, so on like this. So there is a saying of hearing, thinking, practicing. And the practice after hearing is important. And don't just talk and think, but no practice. Or there's a saying of you need to move with the first step. And whatever that we are talking about here, actually we're talking about this, the third kind, which is the practice. After hearing, we thinking, and then we do accordingly. So another one, first of all, is the translation. Good friends, ordinary people are Buddhas, and the afflictions are Bodhi. With a preceding moment of deluded thought, one was an ordinary person, but with the succeeding moment of enlightened thought, one is a Buddha. To be attached to one's sensory realms in a preceding moment of thought is afflictions. But to transcend the realms in a succeeding moment of thought is Bodhi. Now from here, we could elaborate a bit more. In this platform Sutra, it is saying that one moment of thought that is not connected with all these affections, then that moment is a Buddha. But one moment afterward that we have deluded thoughts, then we become the ordinary people. So good friends or virtuous friends, please remember that the real prajna is this so-called Dharma gate of non-duality. Now, this so-called ordinary people is Buddha. Vexations is Bodhi. That is to say, in your mind, this thought that we have is with attachment, is with delusion, then right there, one is an ordinary person. But the moment that one put down these attachments, and the moment that this thoughts is not different from the Buddha nature, which is a pure mind, then one could be considered as a Buddha. So we should understand like this. So the previous thought with attachment, then vexation is there. And then the latter thought that live from these attachments, and it in accordance with the pure mind, then itself is body. And the so-called the non-duality here, the Dharma gate of non-duality here, actually, there's nothing to say. In the Vimalakirti Sutra, in the chapter of entering into the Dharma gate of non-duality, Manjusri Bodhisattva is saying something like this: with all Dharma, there are no speaking, no talking, no expressions, no consciousness, leaving behind questions and answers. It is entering into the Dharma gate of non-duality. And Manjusri Bodhisattva asking Vimalakirti, the layperson, what do you think about this Dharma gate of non-duality? And what this response of this layperson, Vimalakirti, he didn't say anything. Just keep silence. Therefore, Manjusri praised him like, and even without words or language, is truly enter into the gate of non-duality. So we should know that the real chant actually here is there's nothing to say. So what is chant? What is the content of chant? What is the so-called the real chant? Well, we heard about this called inconceivable. Inconceivable means we cannot use language. We cannot use word. We cannot use thinking to explain. Starting from Sakyamuni Buddha, he thinks that the real Dharma is non-describable in words. Therefore, after reaching Buddhahood and after talking for more than 40 years, before he entered into Nirvana, he told everyone, in my life, I've been talking for 49 years, and there are more than 300 Dharma gatherings. I never utter a word. There was a professor who introduced our teacher, Master Sheng Yan. He just used about 2 minutes to introduce Master Sheng Yan. So think about it. How is it possible that in one's life, one has gone through so many things in one's life? One could use 2 minutes to introduce this person. This is just to say that using words, it's just very superficial. It's like a glimpse, it's like fleeting of these words, of this image. Actually, it's not the person, or it's not the actual thing of that person at all. It's just likened to our name. The name did not really tell what is it about this person. It's just a name. So the teaching of the Chinese chant is not to use or not to rely on words, but it is just something that is right there, that is true right there. And the chant is everywhere. It's there already. But if you point out to one thing that is chant, that is not right. So if we could practice to reach this wisdom of no self, actually, it's not easy. So how do you do it? How do you practice? Therefore, the 6 patriarchs saying that to be enlightened to this Dharma is the Dharma of prajna. To cultivate this practice is a practice of prajna. To not cultivate this is to be an ordinary, unenlightened person. To cultivate this in a single moment of thought is to be equivalent to the Buddha in one's own body. Well, here, actually, it's quite obvious. That is the so-called prajna. And prajna itself is the wisdom without outflow. So if we use this thinking and use this concept to practice, then using this thinking, it itself is called without flow. But prajna itself is without outflow. What's that mean? With this outflow and without outflow. Well, outflow just means it's leaking. Just like a bucket with holes in it, and we pour water in it, it will never fill up. Or it just temporarily filled up and it's just leak right away because there is a hole in there. the more or the bigger the hole, then it just float away so easy. So without outflow, referring to the bucket without a hole, or there's no hole, or there's no cracks at all. So whatever that you put in there, the water put in there, it will fill up. For practicing Buddha Dharma, it's the same. What does that mean? If you practice the wisdom of outflow, then it's very easily will use up. But if you practice without, if we practice the wisdom of without outflow, then you could use endlessly until you reach Buddhahood. I give an example. This person who like to collect Buddha statues and thinking that it will cultivate or accumulate more merits in having so many Buddha statues. And our teacher commented that. Now, if that's the case, then the merits that is built up is very limited to this statue, of having this statue. But if one does not have this idea of building this merit, and it's for the benefit of others to have a statue to worship, to respect, not thinking of oneself, I'll build up this credit, then the mindset is more vast and open. And even to a point where just doing it, then whatever the outcomes are is enormous. So the wisdom of with outflow is someday it will just fade away. Now you are smart, and now you hear the Dharma, and after a while, you change your fate. You may change to another directions. And that itself could be because of this attitude of wisdom with outflow. So you can say that this with outflow is with the self, with the attachment of the self. Without outflow, then there's no attachment of the self. So one is not attached to this, even to this, oh, I have this wisdom. That is called if one is not attached to this, that is called without outflow. But if one is attached, that is called with outflow. But for the beginners who learn the teachings, you need to start with this so-called with outflow. So in the beginning of learning, we hope to have wisdom. We hope so that we could cut off our obstacles, decrease our karma, bad karma, and eventually reaching Buddhahood. So all of these are with the so-called self, the me in there. If we don't have any hope for that, then it's impossible for us to really practice. Because you think there's no me, there's no I. Why should I bother to learn about the Dharma? Why should I bother to have faith in the teaching? So to have faith in the Buddha, to learn from the Buddha, starting out, it must be with outflow. Started out with the me, and gradually you could reach to this without outflow and reach this so-called no self. And that's our goal there. So this so-called enter into the gate of non-duality is to gain the principle of one vehicle, the so-called ekayana. So this enter into the gate of non-duality. Well, it is in this sutra of Vimalakirti Sutras, in the chapter of enter into the Dharma gate of non-duality. That is to say, about the Buddha, because of teaching to so many sentient beings with all different characteristics. Therefore, there are so many Dharma gate, referring to the methods. Enormous Dharma gate. And we use this term, 84,000 Dharma gates, to work with 84,000 vexations, just like the wearisome defilements. But if we talk about this, the real form, the true form, then every Dharma is equal. There's no discrimination. no this and that, no higher or no high and low. And that is why it's called Dharma gate of non-duality. But if it is according to the root nature of sentient beings, so one is giving this expedient means to help them, then we have different natures. The nature of sound hearer, the nature of this self-enlightened, and this nature of Mahayana, and the nature of Bodhisattva, and different ones. But if we talk about this true form, then all sentient beings, there's no true forms, no true natures. What they have is the Buddha nature. So all these about this yana, ekayana, only one ekayana is one yana is true, but other yanas, Mahayana, all these are just expedient means. In the record of revealing of the school, it advocates that everyone could reach Buddhahood. And this is the so-called the Dharma of non-duality. Now, in the Sutra of Vimalakirti, in the chapter of entering into the non-duality Dharma gate, now it started out that actually layman Vimalakirti asked the Bodhisattvas, what is Bodhisattva? What is the Dharma gate for all Bodhisattvas to enter into this non-duality? So therefore, there are 33 Bodhisattvas. Everyone talk about this Dharma gate of non-duality. What is it? Well, I just give a few examples. One said production and destructions. The other one said I and mine. Now, production and destructions are two. I and mine are two. Defilement and purification are two. Distraction and attention are two. Bodhisattva spirit and disciple spirit are two. Grasping and non-grasping are two. Uniqueness and characterless are two. Good and evil are two. Say, for example, good and evil are two. There are two, right? Two things. Seeking neither good nor evil. The understanding of non-duality, of the significant and the meaningless, is the entrance into duality. Another one saying that this is impure and this is immaculate. They are duality, right? Yet one attaining equanimity forms of no conception of impurity or immaculateness. Attainment of equanimity, he enters the absence of conceptual knot. That's he entered into non-duality. There are 33 of them. So let me go to the last one. Continue on of 33 bodhisattvas that's saying. And so when the bodhisattvas had given their explanation, and the crown prince Manjusri saying that let me see. Okay, after the address, after the 32 bodhisattvas had given the explanation, right? So they all asked Manjusri, what is the bodhisattva's entrance into non-duality? So Manjusri replied, good sirs, you have all spoken well. Yet, all your explanations are themselves dualistic. Okay, understand? Interesting, right? To know one teaching, to express nothing, to say nothing, to explain nothing, to announce nothing, to indicate nothing, and to designate nothing. That is the entrance into non-duality. Okay, so that is the answer from Manjusri. So then Manjusri said to Vimalakirti, he said, we have all given our own teaching, noble sir. Now may you elucidate the teaching of the entrance into the principles of non-duality. And actually, this answer we already mentioned already previously. So thereupon, Vimalakirti kept his silence, saying nothing at all. And therefore, Manjusri conclusion like this. Manjusri applauded the Vimalakirti, saying, excellent, excellent, noble sir. This is indeed the entrance into the non-duality of bodhisattvas. Here, there is no use for syllables, sounds, and ideas. I hope somehow you get that. And in Chan school, we talk about not relying on words and languages, directly pointing to the mind. Actually, in here, it is just like the principles of Chan school here, that no use for syllables, sounds, and ideas. And for the Chan school, it also advocates this so-called enlightenment, the attitude as well as the method, is to live from mind, from thoughts and consciousness. And what it says here, that live from mind, the thoughts and consciousness, is, according to this teaching of entering into the Dharma gate of non-duality. Okay, let me see if I should continue or not. Oh, just a little bit. We may not understand how could it be possible of living from mind, thought, and consciousness. Now, this platform sutra that use the teaching of the Sutra of Vimalakirti, saying that direct mind is the body field. Direct mind is the Pure Land. And also, right there, it's open up and return to the original mind. This so-called straightforward mind and then the original mind actually is the teaching of living from mind, thought, and consciousness. And that is the Dharma gate of entering into the so-called non-duality. And in the record of reviewing the school, they think that this platform, the sixth patriarch talking about, no thought is the school of no thought. Actually, it here referring to this true mind or the original mind, or the ordinary mind, ordinary mind. Therefore, in the platform Sutra also said that this Dharma gate is the school of no thought. So, good friends, what is this no of what? Thought, and what is it they're thinking about? No referring to the no two forms, and no vexation mind. And thought referring to this thinking of this ordinary nature of true suchness. So this self-nature of true suchness, the thought that come. So our eyes, our ear, our nose, our tongue, our mouth and body, we all have feelings. Knowing all the things, hearing, seeing, but one is not diluted, defiled, but all whatever that's one is encountering. Then one is staying in this, always staying in this true nature. This so-called no true form, no good and bad. This so-called hearing, seeing, awareness, knowing, not defiled to 10,000s of situations. Actually, is in accordance with this teaching of the so-called Dharma gate of non-duality. So I will stop here. And time is a little bit over. I hope this teaching is not so difficult. Possible that it's a little bit difficult because of using of all these terms you may not be familiar with.